That's the feeling we've all had. How new shoes would make you glad, but the best times you recall when you wore no shoes at all. Back the days.
Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Living Lightly. I'm Dan Jerica. Today I'm going to be talking with you about this amazing plant that I grew this year called a loofah. A lot of you are probably familiar with this part of the loofah, which is the scrubby part of it. And you might not know that this comes from a plant. A lot of people might think it comes from an animal or some other or is manufactured or something, but it actually comes from a plant, and the fruit looks a little bit like this before it's been processed, and this one's a little bit kind of rotten and has been sitting out on my plant ever since the plant got hit by frost late this season. But the loofah is an amazing plant because it's totally organic. You can grow it yourself really easily. I grew a bunch of them this year with a minimal effort, and I've got more abrasive, scrubby kind of things than I can use in the next probably 5 years. The fiber, the skeleton of the fruit, can be cut up into smaller pieces and used for scrubbing dishes. You can also use it, like I use it instead of a washcloth in the shower, and it's got a nice exfoliating abrasive quality. Your skin needs to get used to it a little bit, but actually I find it feels much better than a washcloth, and it does a better job of cleaning you. And the great thing about it is you can grow it yourself. No fossil fuel input required. Doesn't have to be manufactured like a chore boy, like a stainless steel scrubby or a sponge. And then once it's reached the end of its useful life, you can just compost it. Hopefully there's not too much wind noise out here. It's kind of a windy day, and harvesting some of these loofahs that I grew last season. I pretty much just planted a couple of starts here, and they took over this trellis eventually. We got so much rain, I don't know if that was what they liked or not, but they grew really well this year, and I ended up with all of these loofahs here. So I'm going to do a little bit of harvesting. And each one of these has a fibrous skeleton in the middle of it. And I'll show you a little bit closer up. But you basically just peel off the skin, and it's like you're growing your own sponges. So I'm showing you what the loofah plant looks like now and after the plant has finished its growth cycle. But during the season it looks a lot like a cucumber plant, and it loves hot weather, and it grows on a trellis, as you would have seen earlier on the footage earlier when I was harvesting these. It filled out that trellis pretty well. And when the loofah plant is young, supposedly it's edible. I've never tried to eat it. It might also be that there are certain varieties that are more edible than others, and some of them are more useful for their fiber and for the scrubbies that you can get from them. But I know that when the plant, the fruit is younger, it won't have this fiber inside of it, and it can be cut up. And I think it might be eaten like a cucumber. I don't really know. But it would be interesting to try it sometime. I've only ever grown it for the fiber. When I was in Nicaragua a number of years ago, there was a weed that grew there, and it was a version of a loofah. The fruits were much smaller. They were more like what I imagine a cucumber, a cucumber full grown for seed, about that size. So they were about this size, but they were these mini scrubbies, and I actually still have one of those. You can see, you can just peel off the husk. this. So this sort of fibrous skeleton under here is full of seeds. You can't really see them very well right now. And they actually might not be mature on this one. I think this one wasn't quite mature enough, but it seems like the fiber is still in good shape. So what you do is just dry this out, let this dry out, and then you knock all the seeds out of it. And then it's just an empty skeleton that can be cut up into smaller pieces if you wanted to. You can use the whole thing. So this is what the seed of the loofah looks like, and all of these seed came from one single loofah fruit. See, they look a little bit like a squash or a cucumber seed, only black in color. So for delicate pans like a cast iron skillet, the loofah is perfect because it's not abrasive enough to take off your seasoning, because you have a seasoning on an oil seasoning on your pan here, and but it's abrasive enough to take off whatever food you might have stuck on the pan. So perfect for an iron skillet or for a wok. And of course, one of the best things about the loofah is that when it's reached the end of its life cycle, you can just compost it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about the loofah and will consider growing it in your garden next year. One thing to think about is for northern growers, loofah does have quite a long season, so northern growers might have trouble getting it to maturity unless they grow it in like a hoop house or some kind of protected situation. And for all growers, I would definitely recommend that you start the plants indoors in the spring to get yourself a good jump on the season. That way you can ensure that you'll get some kind of crop by the end of the season. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it, and also share the link with your friends. And if you hit the subscribe button at the end of the video, that'll take you to my website, hardcoresustainable.com, where you can sign up to get video updates by email. All of these things will make a huge difference in getting some traffic to my channel. It's just getting going, and I would like to attract more people to it. And the more thumbs up that you get for your videos, the more traffic that you can generate to your channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Underneath the sink, we've got the cistern intake pipe here. The 24-volt DC pump pumps water out of the cistern and it pressurizes the system. This is a 5-micron water filter. It just gets sediment out of the cistern water. You don't want any of the sediment going into the 6-gallon pressure tank because that'll shorten its life. This pressure tank has a plastic bladder inside of it that fills up with water, and then the